Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here. We are at Game 2 of the Garena Premier League Spring 2017. And we're going to be your shoutcasters. I am Shinbu with 149, and with me is Vulcan. We just came in from the match played between Indonesia, Fortress Gaming versus Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur Hunters, where Malaysia, with early game pressure, convincingly took a very nice victory against Indonesia.
It was not just the pressure, it was all about the team play.
Yes.
KLH knew what to do. They removed the resources of Indonesia, and that's how they came on top on that game 1.
Yes, of course, ladies and gents, and with that, the big enabler really was Caspel on that lead, and I'm really curious what will happen in the next games of Kuala Lumpur Hunters, because definitely the other teams here who are participating in the GPL will be has seen that game, and of course, speaking of games, ladies and gentlemen, for our schedule, you could see here that game 2 to be arriving would be played by our very own representative. It's gonna be MSK facing Singapore's team Rigel.
And not to mention, we have the schedules all lined up, but MSK VH versus Rigel of Singapore. But before heading into the drafting phase, let's get to know the teams.
Yes.
What teams are playing? Let's get to know them first.
Yes, of course. On to this video of MSK and of course Rigel.
Able to drop down damage to the back. He's untouched. No, Wise Destiny. He's got it to the back line. Not enough damage to take them out. No, good charge. Here comes the cleanse. Oh, Wise Destiny just destroyed. Good triple kill. Could this be the quadra for Raven? It will be. Ladies and gentlemen, a quadra at 19 minutes. Flash taunt. iNitrogen has gone out. Graylix is charging down the middle. Now Vendetta trying to get out of this. A huge shot. Yasuo ultimate comes in. But is it enough to actually take down the members on the side of Flash? No, there's so many shields. Ladies and gentlemen, you have your champion of the Legend Circuit, Spring 2017, Flash!
Oh my God!
Who loves at the beginning will laugh at the end. That is a Quadra Kings! PG.
Oh wow!
He's to the focus the moment the Grey Hell. There's a Chaos Storm and all in. Exo set with a damage. JLC cannot close the gap. He cannot clip. And
JLC still staying in the fight, but he cannot sustain it. Hamas is here, picks up a double kill. Flash in. As a chip. Triple kill. Fine. A current call. JLC. 3 bullets. One more. Last bullet, please. Boom!
MSK, League of Legends, ladies and gentlemen, your representative to the GPL 2017 Spring and a champion for the PG.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, for the information of many, you've seen the Singapore video of Team Rigel. So when they actually win the Legend Singapore, the Legend Circuit, it was actually their team was Team Flash. But prior to this GPL Spring 2017, yes, it was Team Rigel. And for the most part, there are lots of veterans in the roster of Team Rigel. Like an example would be Kralix, their mid lane, and of course you got Revive as well. They played for other GPL events already, so we'll be seeing lots and lots of veteran players here from the end, of course, of Team Rigel, Singapore representative. Not to mention, of course, for MSK here, they actually got 3 qualifiers in the League of Legends World Championships back in Season 2. There was EXO, their mid lane, of course you got TG, and not to mention Kaigo as well. So, these players have played in the GPL for multiple times already, mentioning that when they actually took a lot of championships already as well in our main league here in the Philippines, which is PGS. So I'm really interested, of course. I'm very sure viewers from Singapore and of course from the Philippines would be looking forward what would be the outcome of this fight.
Not to mention, we have a similar matchup with MSK, Nixta, and James. They're pretty new to the PGS. Let's see how they fare with a veteran team like Team Rigel. We all know that Team Rigel is almost of pure veterans.
Yes, yes, and I'm really curious. Do take note that for the most part, we're very familiar of how MSK has, enters their fight with this new adjustment in their play style. They've been known to play long games, but have adjusted on this early lead. And you get the early lead, you snowball that in winning the game with their enabler mainly on Nixta as well. For the most part, always camping EXO in the mid lane. So Rigel would want to take note of that and actually disable that kind of playstyle or approach by MSK. But of course, there's actually a big time frame between these two teams after the conclusion of their own respective lanes. Of course, for Singapore and of course for the Philippines, that they can actually prepare a lot before entering this GPL. So I'm really curious, not on what these two teams would expect to offer, but of those surprising picks, that we don't see. They played their scripts really, and so far for the status of that, so sometimes some scripts are kind of inconclusive because you don't necessarily really reveal your full strategy if there is on a script, especially if you're fighting that opponent on a league such as GPL, because there is you enter a script with a certain mindset, not necessarily going all in and putting your cards or revealing your cards to your opponent. So we're just looking forward. We're just waiting for our players to actually get into the game so that we can go onto our drafting phase. But again, guys, for our viewers, we are live on gaming.youtube.com/phgarena/live. You are watching that. We are also live on Facebook, so be sure to share the stream. This is just day 1 of the group stage. Yeah. We still have our day 2 tomorrow and the semi-finals to unfold, of course, this coming Friday. Not to mention that on Sunday, we'll be seeing each other on Samsung Hall, SM Aura. The conclusion, the finals, and I'm really, really curious who's gonna make it. If I'm not mistaken, yes, definitely it's Thailand and Vietnam would be playing the easier part of this league, as they've actually already been locked in for the semi-finals.
Yeah, it's because they've been performing well in the past GPL.
Yes.
That's why they are secured in their during the knockout stage. So they have the advantage of not really showing all their cards just yet. It's in the group stages itself, it's difficult for teams to actually win because they don't want to show too much, and that's one advantage that Vietnam and Thailand has. Right?
Yes, not to mention that visiting the game here, Team Rigel versus MSK. Because if I'm gonna recall MSK, their biggest asset really here would be EXO Sen. Former ADC for their team, now moving for the mid lane. There have been doubts here and there for MSK, for EXO Sen being put in the mid lane for MSK. But with the conclusion of this 2017 spring of PGS, everybody's been convinced that MSK's mid laner EXO Sen can stand on his own. Now, mentioning that matchup against Kralix, we're very curious because Kralix has this play style of actually going for those aggressive roams to open up the jungle itself for invades and pressure and control against the enemy team. Whereas knowing EXO Sen, he actually wants to establish his pressure on the lane first, then visit and influence another lane. An example of that would be the likes of a pickup of a Twisted Fate, right? He usually just, with the help of Nixta, would try to shut down his enemy mid laner and instantly, given the right opportunity, would instantly teleport for the bot lane. Yes.
Not to really mention, the way the mid lane plays out will determine the pressure in the top and the bot lane.
Yes, yes, for the side lanes.
Yeah, for the side lanes. So it's going to be important for both the mid laners to not always play aggressive, but also time it right.
Yes,
we know that they're really aggressive, but it's the aggressiveness that changes. EXO likes to push out the lane, then roam, right? But on Kralix's side, what can you say about that shit?
Yes, well, we're really looking forward on how these two junglers will react as well. Not to mention that I want to discuss as well of what Rigel has studied against Kaigu, because Kaigu has this really good performance on Rumble, and so far he has conservative performances on the other top laners like a Nautilus, a Poppy, a Shen, and of course the Maokai. So I'm really curious what will happen if the offensive champion of Kaigu here gets removed. But before that, ladies and gentlemen, let's just head on to a quick word from our partners here for the GPL Spring 2017, a commercial, so to speak.
The new high-performance RIG 500 headset from Plantronics is designed to match the skills of an aspiring esport player with the gear they need to win. The new modular system gives you the power to adapt, upgrade, and personalize your headset for the task at hand. The RIG 500 series of gaming headsets are engineered to deliver the perfect combination of durable lightweight comfort in an immersive audio environment. 7.1 surround sound and 24-bit audio provide a stunning 360-degree sound field with directional audio. 40mm drivers with low-frequency resonators provide crisp highs and boosted bass. Clear voice noise-canceling technology provides clear communication to your teammates. From the headset company that equips the pros, the 500 series was crafted to meet the needs of esports and competitive players around the world. The new RIG 500 series of headsets from Plantronics. Respect the training. Reactions win.
It's more than nuts and bolts. Beyond hardware and software. Beyond ideas and innovation. It's trust and peace of mind. The connections we've made, the partnerships we've nurtured, the changes we've embraced. Together, let's go further. Work smarter. Play harder. Dream bigger. Changing the way you do business.
I like the tagline there with Plantronics. Respect the practice.
Yes.
You know, reactions win. I'm really curious what kind of reaction though. There might be wrong reactions and of course right reactions. But you know, aligning that to our game for today, I mean, really it would fall heavily on the junglers of how they will react, you know, in terms of playstyle between these two mid laners here, Exo, Sen, and Kralix. But interestingly, ladies and gentlemen, we got Hammers here and not Nixta playing the jungle position for MSK. Now, for an info for you guys, Hammers is actually a substitute ADC, you know, along with Senjo here for MSK, now playing for the jungle position. Hammers did play jungle in the split, okay, for the split before moving to ADC. So we're very curious. Like, this is definitely something new, and this is the things that we are looking forward to. Something that you won't be expecting from these two teams. Let's see what jungles, what would be put into play here by Hammers from MSK. And interestingly, I was thinking that Team Rigel would be banning the Rumble, but this time they will remove the Rumble for themselves, so making sure that their backline would be protected from, you know, from that equalizer. At least they don't get scattered. But now I'm curious, what's gonna be left here for Kaigu? Is it gonna be the Nautilus once again? A Shen, a Makai, a Poppy? Very likely a Nautilus in my opinion for Kaigu, as the first rotations of the bans here are completed from these two teams. You got, as you mentioned, Rumble, Rengar, and Lulu. There we go. The running meta so far right now in the Philippines, you know, an early reveal for the bot lane. Most likely, you'd start a draft with the Lulu. Doesn't really reveal much for your composition because Lulu has been a very nice champion, especially as we came out from the horrors of the lethality meta, which Lulu disables a lot of any backline engages and any assassination attempts, you know, for your crucial members in this team. Now, mentioning the Team Rigel as well for their bans, they're going to be removing a Thresh, interestingly, from TG, clearly a scout. Nixta's Graves, huh? And of course, going to be a Malzahar against MSK, which allowed them to actually pick up the Kha'Zix, yeah? And an Ashe. So let's see, still picking up a Kha'Zix, you know, blindly against Lulu. There's still an available lots of counter mechanic play here against the pickup here by Team Rigel. MSK would think twice in picking up any squishy champions because that, you know, would work well in isolation. because there's the Kha'Zix already available in the hands of Rigel here. Ash as well is very good on picking up champions, which roams around, you know, which doesn't stick to the team.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and not
Make long range picks, making long range picks with the enchanted crystal arrow.
yeah, we know that they like to engage the fight that way, but
Yes.
not to mention, just from the first banning phase, we know what both teams are prioritizing. Cancel out the high mana junglers, the top laners also, and that by doing so, they remove the option. Yeah,
Yes, which one?
they will remove the option that Mineski, seeing that they picked the Lulu first, they know that that is the highest priority pick for
Yeah.
them. But on Team Rigel side, they will show their cards. They show Ash, Kha'Zix, and the second picky phase, so they secure their jungler.
Yes, of course, ladies and gents. So let's see. Mentioning that we got an Elise here to pick up by Mineski. Now that's gonna be the jungler pickup here by Hamis, also included in the pool of Nixta. Mentioning here as well that you're gonna Gragas here in the hands of Rigel, so you'd be expecting that very likely to go for the top lane, especially if you got a Kha'Zix here in the jungle. I rarely find any Kha'Zix outside the jungle. Now, can be denied that Kaiku is very comfortable
Yes.
with this Nautilus. So far on his pickup of any conservative top laners, Maokai, Poppy, you'd be seeing Nautilus as one of the best performers for Mineski's top laner here on Kaiku.
And, that,
Okay.
and from the second banning phase, we can see that Team Rigel focus banning on the mid lane, knowing that Mineski has not yet secured their mid laner. This is where the 10-ban system is at work, so we know what's going to happen in both teams. And on Mineski's side, they're banning out the Nami and the Vladimir.
Yes, of course. So let's see. Mentioning the bands here, gonna be seeing a Brad. All right, interesting.
Very interesting
Yes,
to see a
and it's a
Brand.
lock-in.
It's a sure lock-in for Team Rigel. So, looking at their composition, they have a top Gragas, no doubt. And the jungler would be the Kha'Zix. So, what would be on Mineski's side to finalize their lineup to synergize well with the Lulu pickup?
All right, mentioning. Come again. What is that?
The Lulu pickup.
Of
How
course,
is gonna-
for the Lulu pickup. Well, I'm really curious because the Lulu was picked up first.
yeah,
but of
it's
course
looking very good.
Yes, they picked up the Kha'Zix blindly against the Lulu. Well, one weakness of a Lulu is getting caught out of position, especially when his landing works, when he's trying to, try to control vision for his teammates, and he's setting up vision for his teammates. But, a Lulu just who sticks on your ADC is very rewarding, and that's the team that disables a lot for any form of engagement that comes in here from a Kha'Zix and even the Gragas. I'm really curious, how will this brand fit or counter this composition done here by Mineski, because in my opinion there are better burst champions. Really, we do know that burst champions, they do counter sustain or shield form of types of champions, but still there are actually better options in the mid lane, like Oriana, even Syndra, so what would be a pickup here by Mineski in the mid lane is Exocet. Okay,
On the Echo, while on the top side would be one of the most top-pick champions in the whole split professional scene we've seen is the Nautilus. But in Team Rigel's side, we might see...
so there you go.
Yeah, it's going to be a support brand
Brand.
because the Nami has been banned, removing the sustain that Team Rigel was looking for. So just from looking at the lineup and the drafting phase alone, it's looking pretty solid for Mineski. They have really good, decent, stable frontliners.
Yes.
But on Team Rigel's side, they do have the Gragas, a powerful disruptor.
Yes, but it's gonna be a very interesting bot lane for Team Rigel here. What I want to mention here is that, you remove the Nami here, you're gonna be picking up the brand. Yes, there is actually an offset here in terms of the pressure that can be established by a Lulu and Caitlyn, bottom duo. What you could do actually is burst down one. You could actually burst down a Lulu, not Lulu if he's shielding his own ADC, she cannot shield herself, right? So that's one opener for the brand here. So I do understand that Team Rigel would be bringing up damage here for the bot lane, but they're very prone for the gank. 3 level 6 of the Elise. And that's going to be dangerous because, the crowd control here for the brand is actually kind of conditional. It requires you 2 skills. okay, for the brand so that you could just land your crowd control, the stun. One of them is targeted, but that is just only the setup for the Q. And if your Q missed, that's gonna be very dangerous. At least as the rappel to dodge that, close the gap in, and that's why I'd be expecting CYH to anticipate any early form of aggression that could come in from James here. Actually, if Kaigu did teleport in the bot lane as well, that's gonna be very rewarding for them.
And looking at the pick, we saw in the second batting phase that Team Rigel really focused onto Exos, and knowing that he is one of the key players in the team. But we also see that Mineski, smart batting phase alone, just from the second ban, they've denied sustain where Team Rigel needs on that Ashe. So it's going to be really interesting to see from the lineup itself how they will fare.
Yes, of course. So there's really, if you've observed the second batting phase of Team Rigel here, they have their eyes set. We're mentioning the bot lane here, but can I be denied that they have their eyes set still clear against Exosen here? Rise for the mid lane, which is a point-and-click crowd control, which kind of counters the mobility that can come in from Echo's space dive. But the thing here is that 7.6, it falls still on the patch where Rise has been nerfed. The rune prison here is, shorter. It's around 0.75 seconds. So let's see if Ken Mineski capitalize on that fact. Definitely, if I'm going to be featuring a matchup here, it's going to be Kralix and Exosen.
It's going to be really the pressure will be on the mid lane, but let's also take note of the junglers because they will play a lot of impact in the laning phase itself. So we're gonna see Mineski on the blue side versus Rigel on the red side. Rigel.
Of course. So now we head back into this game, understanding the first core items here. You could see the difference in the approach here by the Southeast Asian teams, really calling for a quick meta that the early first item pick up by some of the ADCs would be a longsword. Okay, but of course, Doran's played as well to be picked up here by Zensho. In my opinion, there's really not much of a difference here between the damage that they can put because you can easily enchant the damage that comes in from the Caitlyn, but the way Arcane actually used his Pillar of Flame, instantly targeting TG despite Zensho being the closer target, clearly gives a signal that they are after this support.
Level 2 can come in. CYH focusing on the EXO. 2 flashes spurt. That will be a first blood.
Of course, instantly in the back. Okay, so it's Rigel, ladies and gentlemen. So, wow, I mean, they should have anticipated that in a way because I mean, with that kind of timer, really, level 2 gank is very, very possible. And mentioning that's instantly a 400 gold lead here by Rigel. And I mentioned that, well, at least we could see that CYH here won't be translated that easily into an item. We'd be observing that kind of lead, that first blood, in an instance that between these two junglers who would be able to build their first core item.
And yeah, to build the first core item, that's something that you want to prioritize. With the first blood given onto Team Rigel's side, that's gonna give an advantage over the jungle side. In the top side though, you can't expect that they'll play very aggressive. But in the bot lane, TG trying to outburst the support. A close call. James revealing his location already. Not much coming in. That was a really close call for Rigel. So let's see the top lane. Not much going on. Two top laners going for the Doran swing start.
Yeah.
Will try to outpush each other so they can open up themselves for a teleport play.
Yes, not to mention that. So again, going back for this game, that's gonna be the lead here by CYH. Gonna be picking up 2 long swords instantly. That's a big damage lead here. If ever that kind of damage is to be brought on the lanes themselves. Now mentioning here, James will be forced knowing that if you press tab, you'll be seeing the jungle items or the items here of the jungler. Clearly a signal that you may want to keep up at least and offset this lead. Gonna be the tracker snipe here by James, but in the top lane, full on engage.
Not much happening. They are just sizing each other up to see, can I outtrade with the Gragas properly? We know that Kaigo likes to play it a bit submissively, but can it work the same way with Revive? He's been pushing the turrets, the lane pretty much.
Yeah, so what I want to mention here is that at least despite the damage lead here by CYH, which is I think kind of threatening, really, at least you'd be picking up Vision, you know, with this tracker snap. The cool thing about Vision is that even though you cannot really contribute in terms of damage, at least still Vision does not fall up. It is always, it always has, wait, hold on.
TG gets ignited, but will sustain thanks to the heal and the shield, forcing him out of the lane, leaving Zensho. This might open up for a gank if CYH, but we can see that he is still in the mid lane.
Oh my god.
EXO does not have a flash, goes face dive for the escape.
James would be here though, but I think that clearly is a signal for Rigel to actually fall back. At the least, no counter engage coming in from James, but James may want to utilize those that kind of vision actually deep in the jungle here of Rigel, because, you know, monitoring the position here of CYH, especially with these two longswords, will be very rewarding. Do take note that on top of the two longsword, it's not really the longsword just the big advantage here. It's also this early pickup boost of speed for CYH. That easily allows CYH to rotate between lanes, for the side lanes for the most part, but I'm observing is actually investing a lot in this mid lane. Now, if you were able to spot out the Kha'Zix using the vision from this tracker snipe, which he has a very high tendency to visit lanes just because the mobility enables him to do so, then that's one mechanic that Mineski, that's one thing that Mineski can bank on. But for the most part, observing the totality of what's happening here, 6 minutes into the game, I think everyone would be aiming for getting their power spikes in terms of first item or even on the level 6 power spike ultimates.
Level 6 has been spiked already in the mid lane, but looking at the rotations of Mineski, they are in Rigel's territory right now on the blue side, but going to the top lane's itemization, we can see that Kaigo already finishing up that Spectre's Crawl. Despite starting with the Doran String, but we can see that Revive picking up 2 Dorans and a Ruby Crystal. In the mid lane, we can see some battling happening. He might go for a tower dive. He does have the Chrono Shift if ever things go really bad for him. And 4 members converging in the mid lane.
Yes, committing to that would be a very risky gank in that mid lane with, you know, minimal reward. Now I want to mention this magic resistance build on Kaigo. Very, very nice against Revive here. Definitely would add to his survivability and of course in terms of winning trades here against Revive. But he may want to actually watch out for the teleport play in the bot lane. He should take note that he's not building armor here. So he should watch out for the damage that would arrive from CYH and of course Ciela. And as we mentioned, one of the win conditions here by Mineski, it's going to be very rewarding if Kaigo pulls off a big and massive teleport play in the bot lane. And observing there, actually look at the blue ward here in advance in the bot lane. That could actually open up a teleport play for Kaigo here. But let's see if he really utilize that one. That ward has been cancelled, so that option is gone already. But a full-on engage to be done here. Will they really commit to this one? Maybe just the harass, denied.
Oh, look at that harass coming from TG. There's the ace in the hole. Not a finishing blow. James just visiting the lane to clear out Vision. That was a close call for Rigel in the bot lane, knowing that denying the sustain from the bot lane is really paying out.
Yes, man. And at least the vision from the tracker snipe, along with the help of TG here, they managed to establish early vision on the blue side jungle. And, you know, allowing yourself to get an idea of where the jungler is very rewarding. And, you know, all you need to do is not necessarily establish vision on all parts of the map. You just need to establish vision on one part of the map, on this blue side jungle, so they still have a clear idea and actually like predict where the jungle might be, like the way Kaigo does it here. I think there's
spawning up CYH. We saw how the two teams just traded their blue buffs, but Kaigo knows where CYH is, and that is why Mineski is transitioning towards
the Mountain Drake. Nice lead on here by Mineski. Gonna be a very big macro play for them. But let's see how rewarding will that be. Do take note that all they need is actually to that Mountain Drake. If they really want to fully use that one, they may need to get near a turret, ladies and gents. So here we can see that the gold deficit here by Rigel doesn't necessarily snowball. Mentioning that Rigel actually has a 400 gold lead here, the first blood, but not necessarily, translating that into anything, especially when they rotate for the lanes. Hamis here gets spotted. At the least, is still establishing pressure here. You know, what's dangerous about Rigel is that they're getting their power spikes. That's the thing. And there's a very big power spike in the bot lane, mentioning the ultimate of the brand here, Arcane. So, I'm really curious in the teleport play or whatever big team fight will unfold here, because in my opinion, I think I'm seeing that Rigel would be winning the trade up here on a 5v5 stack. But let's see, ladies and gents. Understanding here the itemizations, you could see that lots of magic resistance. Hold that thought, ladies and gents. CYH here. Okay, receives the Cocoon.
Really close call. That was something that Rigel Gaming should really avoid. Those split-second decisions that can make it really bad for them and giving MSK a lead.
Yes, of course, for Rigel. Let's see once again. In terms of jungle item, it is interestingly Hamis was able to pick up his first and complete his jungle item here. But do take note that CYH still has the mobility advantage here. Of it that gets offset, of course. There's another boots available for Hamis here. So, yep, our game is staying in a steady pace. Understanding again the itemizations here. As we mentioned, lots and lots of magic resistance to be built here by Mineski. What I'm really curious is that I hope they're prepared for Rigel, because Rigel would have an advantage in terms of AD damage here in the instance that Ciela would be getting the free hits, or CYH will not receive any lockdown from Mineski. Do take note that there is only, well, at least there are two crowd control, point and click crowd control that would stop the Kha'Zix. That is, of course, the one coming in from the Lulu, and of course the ultimate of Kaigo here. But of course, they have fairly long cooldowns. You don't necessarily get to spam that compared to projectile skills. So, yep. Both of these two teams aiming for the long game.
Aiming for the long game, and not to mention, we are seeing the results of the 2 Doran's ring from Revive. So we see that Kaigo will always have to recall because he's out of mana, trying to outpush Revive. But in the mid lane, what is happening? There is the power of convergence. There is CYH, extra chrono shifts away. Will he survive? Really slow. In kill range, flashes out with the time rewinder, securing the kill. And from the top lane, Kaigo making his way in. But there is the disruption for Revive.
I just want to compliment EXO there. The way he baited that engage. Looks like he's actually guarding that here. Goes for the turnaround without his ultimate still available. But
there is the stun, followed up by Kaigo's Drench Line. Trail Edge is really low in health. Another stun,
ultimate.
But he cleansed away. But here comes Arcane with the Brass ultimate. That will not be enough to finish off the members of Mineski.
Oh my god. At the very least, that engage in the mid lane. Quite explosive, but no casualty yet. No. There's only one. There's one. There's actually one who died in the hands in favor of Mineski here. I really like the way, let's have the replay for that game. I really like the way how EXO baited this one. This may seem like a big mistake for him. Good job on using his ultimate quick, but look at that. Look at the way EXO turned, nearing Kha'Zix, and that's the thing. I mean, it actually opened up a bait for Hamis. It actually allowed Hamis to, have enough time and engage and put in the bite against CYH. CYH now receiving his first death. Of course, that kill taken from the first blood as well.
And looking at the itemization in the 30-minute mark, we see that Zensho already completing the Blade of the Rune King. Same with Ciela. So this is gonna transition towards maybe a more aggressive bot lane, knowing that they have their first completed item. But in the bot lane, we're seeing more of a mirror itemization.
Yes.
However, we see that Nautilus picking up the Bami Cinder.
Yes. Anyway, going back for the bot lane itemization, it's about early game. It's about contributing the most damage possible from your marksman. And now it's really Kaigo. I think the cloak should be enough to at least provide survivability and prevent yourself from getting bursted. You're the tank anyway, and passively Nautilus has very good defensive base statistics. And so, you should start actually balancing it out. Build that Actually, really curious what is Kaigu is building. He actually have a Ruby Crystal on top of that Bami scene there. Maybe it's about time that he should be rushing and building a full item here. Maybe a Sunfire Cave. That should be rewarding and that should be nice. And yep, let's see here as MSK actually able to pull off a nice rotation in the bot lane. Taking in the first blood turret.
Yes, that will be the first turret, giving them a gold lead of almost 2,000, but not enough. But in the top lane, we can see that Revive is also trying to push out the lane.
Yes.
It's really low on health, and Kaigo is having a hard time out pushing Revive. Bit of a duel happening in the top lane. Not much is gonna happen.
Yeah, but the thing there is that in terms of dueling, with the Bami skin there, Kaigo have this slight advantage because he's dealing damage just by standing near the enemy top laner. But of course, you really don't expect two tanky top laners to kill each other. Not after a long time, or not if one made a fatal mistake here. So let's see as Rigel would be setting up here in the Mountain Drake. Rather gonna be taking the Mountain Drake for themselves. Let's see. MSK have an idea though. Because there, you can
They
see
have an idea,
the
but they cannot respond in
Yep.
time. That's a disadvantage they got. And with Rido came and securing their Mountain Drake, it evens out the advantage that MSK had their first Mountain Drake.
And that's going to be the big problem here by Rigel. They take the wrong path going back. They actually went for their own blue side jungle, and that's going to be lots of damage to be dealt here in this outer mid lane turret.
There's the control, there's the follow from Exozen, securing the kill onto CYH with the jungler down. 4 members left too. I think MSK might go for a re-engage, but it is too risky.
It's too risky. It's a tower dive, and there's a brand actually. The ultimate would be very, very punishing. So, you know, MSK would be, unless Kai would teleport and, you know, take up 30 hits.
His teleport is not yet up.
Not yet up though.
Just a second left in the cooldown timer with the bot lane's turret gone. This will open up MSK for at least prioritizing the Dragon Pit area, or at least secure some vision control.
Yes, of course. My opinion here for this game, the Rune Prison nerf, I think would be feeling it for this game. Right now, I'm still waiting for Kralix to make that kind of impact, really. But of course, we know how Rise really scale. He is, you know, Rise becomes stellar when the late game unfolds. And yep, let's see about that. Let's see about that because so far, if there's gonna be an engaged champion here coming in from MSK, that's just only on Exo, Sen, James, and Kaigu. Do take note that James has the option, and he's starting to do so, to build defensive in the late game. So it's not really that rewarding if you lock down the Elise. That only leaves you with one option, the Echo. I'm not really expecting any Rune Prison on a Caitlyn because, you know, you'd be punished by a lot of free hits before you land a Rune Prison on the Caitlyn. Just so there's a Lulu to bypass, not to mention that the Caitlyn has a very, very long range here. So that actually falls on Ciela on making that long range pickups using the Enchanted Crystal Arrow on this Ashe.
We saw previously in the top lane, 3 members of Rigel were trying to invest themselves in to try and finish up the top lane turret, but that's not going to happen. Also, MSK returned the favor too, at least camping the mid lane, trying to pick off Ciela.
Yeah. Gonna go for, you know, leave Zensho here for the pressure. Not to mention that Zensho, given that you get to protect him, it's gonna be very rewarding. He is a very aggressive ADC. He's not an ADC who prioritizes on being safe, but rather on dealing the most damage possible. So again, gonna stay in a slow pace, ladies and gents, mentioning that the only budding available objective here for MSK would be the outer top lane turret. They're making a rotation in top lane.
Revive getting the CC, he gets it out. Teachy will go in, but there is the cocoon from James. The death charge is on. They will go for a tower dive, and there's the wild growth. James taking the third hit, gets the kill.
Clearly, one of the win conditions here by Rigel would be to anticipate these ganks coming in from MSK, but rather they're just gonna mirror that pressure. They may have a read that they might lose the fights unnecessarily, but still not enough. They don't have enough minion stack to really push and trade up this outer mid lane turret. They may need the help of Kralix here, who just actually land a ward or actually just roam in the top lane. Oh my god, I think Rigel would have a hard time destroying this turret. Let's see if can they finish this one because this is going to be very risky for the Singapore team.
Exo goes in with a FaceTime plus the parallel convergence. Chrono shifts away. Arcade goes down. And now members of MSK going for a re-engage with Hamas leading the charge, going on to Sayala. He flashed over the wall. Same with Hamas. He secured the kill, but Exo is finishing up with the passive. And now Tralix is left all alone. That would be a kill secure for MSK's ADC. Zensho.
That is an overstay there by Rigel in the mid lane. They should have backed out. They cannot afford to lose that kind of team fight. This is actually nearing the mid game as Mineski decided on grouping up very early. That's going to be very rewarding. Entering the late game, we try to understand the gold spikes here as the... we got Caitlyn actually calling. No, not yet. So that's going to be
the explosive cast used to attempt to kill TG, but the shield was just actually denied. So Revive now has no ultimate ready.
Yeah, for the next fight. And by that time, most of the members here by MSK would encash that lead in the mid lane. And you know, that explosive cast, that should be crucial on the next fight. Especially facing a team with an item advantage against you. Let's check that fight in the mid lane. Again, this is already like a textbook win here by Mineski because that is an awkward positioning for Rigel. They have their backs on the turret here of Mineski. Look at Ciela as well. I was really surprised he managed to survive this long. So that's nice. But you know, it's very hard to escape the likes of Hamas here. At the very least, Rigel managed to actually bag in, not mistaken, that's going to be Hamas. So yeah, they should have backed out. They should have backed out in a nutshell. The explosive cast is not available just to reset that fight. And that's the problem there. Had it been there's an available explosive cast for that fight, there shouldn't be that much casualty in the ranks of Rigel here.
You can see from the gold lead, Zensho has at least 400 gold. So that's enough for him to give an item advantage over Ciela.
I just want to see the items. I think he's been holding to that dagger. There you go, a QSS. Okay, so the idle gold earlier has been translated into a QSS. Interestingly, Zensho picking up a defensive item here, but also I'm not surprised. You don't really see an early QSS on a Caitlyn, but that's clear that, you know, especially on a Caitlyn, or especially on a Caitlyn on a team that has a lead. But that further establishes that Zensho would be taking more aggressive positioning in an instance that a 5v5 fight or even smaller would break out. So for this game, you can see as well that Kralix is building up a Negatron cloak, mentioning that Exosen has his protobelt completed. This is actually, I'm very curious, there's no ward here on the DRP by Mineski. It's like, because for the most part, the investment of vision here by Rigel is actually in the Baron lead. So they clearly have that in mind, that this lead by Mineski here could easily translate to a Baron, but there are actually lots of available objectives still for Mineski. Mentioning the Drake, the Cloud Drake, there's also the outer mid lane turret.
Zensho prioritizing defensive items for the cleanse with QSS, but on Ciela's side will go for a more offensive approach, and look at that, the QSS just paid off. Zensho just cleansed out of that stun.
Yeah, I'm just worrying here about the defensive itemizations of Mineski because they're investing this lead for defensive itemizations that it's not necessarily what you see on a team that is ahead. Because for a team that is ahead, they would further build offensive itemizations. But, you know, the only visible defensive itemizations here would be that QSS on Zensho. Protobelt is a textbook item anyway for the Echo here. And look at that. Still, on top of that Null Magic Mantle, actually, Hamas changed his item pathing. Did prioritize building the Leandris here. Now, that's what I like about Hamas. Okay? He's all about consistency, knowing Hamas here. Now, CYH may want to anticipate that kind of itemization here. Right now, I'm seeing CYH actually prioritizing Mage. Interesting.
The item possession of Mineski may be defensive, but they are not behind in items.
Yes, definitely not behind in items.
So, I'm sorry, I meant damage-wise, because when you're ahead, you might go for a sustained approach, and knowing that when it carries to the late game, you will be ready if ever Rigel catches up in damage.
Yes.
So picking up defensive when you're ahead will pay off in the long run, knowing that Mineski and Rigel is going for the late game.
Yes, and not to mention that Rigel actually has game-changing ultimates here. the brand ultimate, so it's gonna be very rewarding if you like build up defensive for that. Not to mention as well the explosive cast, you know, it actually allows.
Comes in. TG flashed away, so Hamish cuts it off, and there's the teleport coming in. Cancelled out. Revive still going in for the push. TG is trying to zone out the members of Rigel.
Revive should understand that you cannot really body slam an Elise, especially on a spider from Elise, because you'd just be bumping onto his spider leads. So that's lots of ultimate burned here by Rigel. Mineski is in the position to be aggressive here. But of course, there's the Reef Scuttler taken here by Rigel at the least, so that actually stops Mineski on taking an advantage of Rigel burning a lot of their ultimates at least. Now, going back in this game, another defensive itemization coming in from Exosen. Zonya's Hourglass. Okay, again, I'm really curious, but at the very least, we're seeing Tear of the Goddess still in the hands of Kralix here. So far in this game, despite the potential for these champions to build offensive, they'd be building defensive, and I do understand that. Of course, for Mineski as well, again, if you got the lead, you don't necessarily build offense, you can actually build these defensive items, especially if you're dealing with game-changing ultimates. Explosive cast, and even the Enchanted Crystal Arrow here. Like, it's a given that Zenso Shen, as long as that QS is still available, cannot be caught off guard by long-range Enchanted Crystal Arrows, and that allows Zensho actually to freely farm in lanes, you know.
Mineski invading the red side of Rigel might set up for a Baron, but they are just putting up some control wards, not to mention vision control. And look at that, COAH caught off guard. Kaigo goes in the Dredge Line. There is the depth charge, but there is no follow-up. He catches the Crystal Arrow, so that's an ultimate down. Ciela would try to back away. CYH sees Exo, fails the stun with the power that converges. Exo trying to reposition, but looking at the ultimate of Baron won't do much damage. Looking at the members of Rigel Gaming, they are grouping up. Exo goes in for the face side, but changes his mind. Hamis is very low.
Yeah, and of course Mineski has no vision as well on that brush there on the red side jungle, the one at the back, in front of the red Brambleback camp, and that's the big problem. There's also the control ward available there by Rigel, and that kind of fight actually explains the value of taking a fight with vision. Nicely done there by Mineski, not really fully committing onto that. But still, I think despite this defensive itemization, there's definitely still respecting the damage that can come out from this brand. Had it been that there's a redemption on that fight, it would be different, in my opinion. Or maybe Solari. But seeing the itemizations here, it's very likely TG would be completing that redemption anytime soon. So what was taken from that fight? Lots of summoner spells burned there. You could see Hamis actually. I think these summoner spells burnt here by TG. It was taken a long time ago. So, but there's also the summoner spell Flash for CYH is burned. Teleport advantage. One thing that is big here for Mineski would be Kaigo's teleport is up compared to Revive. That would open up actually 4-1 mechanic strategy here for Mineski.
But I think that's just from summoner spells alone. Rigel got that. But it's also the fact that Mineski saw how long they stayed in the fight. So this will give information to both teams if they ever feel like going all in and having confidence that they will out-sustain the enemy team.
Yes, definitely. So again, redemption completed. Mentioning the sustain part here. So let's see. It's very awkward. At least Kaigo here actually puts in the ward. Bami Cinder triggered the Baron here. So let's see, guys. One problem here by Rigel is that definitely Mineski has the beefier tank here on a 5v5 stack. So that's the thing. So right now, going back into this game, I haven't seen Exo really recalled, so I'd be expecting that on his next recall, he'd be completing that Zonya's Hourglass. Gonna be a very big power spike here that would allow Exosen to be aggressive and set up those fights for his team. I've observed that kind of playstyle actually done on that red side jungle. It's just that it's really sad for Mineski that they have no vision on that red side jungle here. Whereas again, with condition here by Rigel, they can still drag this one into the late game.
And look at that, Zensho gets spotted trying for a solo of the Mountain Drake. Would it be enough? And yes it is! The stun just 3 cans away. There is the Realm Orb. Zensho gets taken down. Flash in by TG. That would be a kill for Revive. So this will open up a Baron for Rigel if they choose to members of MSK down, this might go for a Baron.
Yeah, they should. I think it's still worth to take the trade. An inner bot lane turret in exchange for the Baron. But let's see, again, Kaigo, this Nautilus is very capable in delaying them. Accounting for the automates available here, do take note that it's only Arcade's Pyroclasm.
Teleport coming
Yeah,
in
for the big
from
secret damage
the
here.
mid lane. Exo shows himself. Micro for a Baron still. He focuses onto the members. Oh, the RG, and now this is the Baron in the hands of Minaski. The Pirates turn around. There is the double kill. Chrono shifts away to reposition. Kralix is down. There is the double kill, a triple kill, and a revive left alone. That will be a Quadra plus an ace and a Baron.
Ladies and gentlemen, we were mentioning that a trade, an inner bottom lane turret in exchange for Baron would be worth, but not if the one is split pushing. Exo Sen did join the fight. That teleport is gonna be very rewarding, and yes, it did. Quadra kill for Exo Sen. Mentioning Hammers as well. This substitution done by Mineski is definitely very profitable for them. I'm really curious if did Rigel really got caught off guard for this game.
Members of Rigel, fresh from the fountain, will be able to defend this wave with the inhibitor turn and the inhibitor
They can
down.
take inner top lane turret as well. So this is now the time for Mineski to further push their lead using this Baron power play gold. Let's see, ladies and gentlemen, of course, they can reset. They just came in from the fight, winning that Baron. They will be more poised to take another fight. And especially with the items, the new items in the Baron they've taken. Let's see this fight here. As we mentioned, we were thinking that Rigel could take this one, but not with Exo Sen joining this fight. As we mentioned, Kaigo has enough tankiness to withstand anything that is thrown to him. Plus, again, Hammers, seriously, with the smite. That is very punishing, not securing the smite. But that is, of course, because it is actually CYH getting killed early on. That's
we are seeing the Rise nerfs at the works right now. Very low on damage, not to mention the Rune Prison. That is why the Baron invasion was so successful, because Mineski had the damage. Rigel will have to catch up in damage, but they're catching up slowly but surely. But I don't think that's the right time for them to build more offensively. That's what happens when you are in the lead, that you itemize defensively. It is rewarding.
Oh, well, but of course the tendency of the players, for the most part, historically, they've been building offensive. But of course, on this one, it is actually they are building defensively. They're building defensively, but so that they can take an offensive playstyle with these defensive items. They're building Zhonya's Hourglass so they can be offensive. They are building QSS so that Zensho wouldn't have to worry about his positioning. And that's what I mean by that. That's what I mean by, you know, being offensive, being, you know, being more leaning on the offensive approach for this game. Of course, if you have the lead. It's not on the itemization, but on the playstyle. Let's see though, they're aiming for the flag here in the bot lane.
Relmore for the flag. Hammers gets stunned by the Crystal Arrow. He'll be taken down with a burn. Oh, he flashed away. The Cocoon is still not available, so he will be surviving that while Exo pushing the top lane.
Good job there by Mineski, not really committing for that fight, knowing that it would be a 4v5. So establish the pressure still established here. Top lane inhibitor is gone. The push for the bot lane still continues. Let's see here what Rigel can do. Accounting for the ultimates to be available, explosive gas is still on cooldown. I wonder what will the Pyroclasm damage do, because right now, as we mentioned, this defensive itemization is paying so well in this late game, to the point that one champion already here from Rigel, or make that almost two really, because the splash damage from Calix is getting mitigated as well. It's kind of gone in the itemizations of Mineski here. Right now, all that Zensho needs to build is, you know, one IE for the bonus item. I wouldn't recommend the Bloodthirster because that is too much defensive itemization already. And, yep, you know, it's a matter of knocking down this one last inhibitor turret.
And we're seeing the Mineski forcing and pressuring Rigel to defend this turret. And we can see the positioning of their members. They are really scattered around the base. They have to stick it firm. They stay together and try to defend the wave of minions. Now the Baron is gone. This might open up for a chance. Exo goes in with the face time. Gets a throw. Oh, there's the Zonias. Here comes CYH, but he has no mana, no damage at all.
Oh my god.
Away. James catching the Channel Crystal Arrow, and look at Seattle's position. Free to hit as he pleases, but there is the power of convergence. He will be taken down, and there is Ciela.
But Zensho, of course.
Not touched. He's doing a lot of damage, and Zensho trying to pick up Ciela. Kaigen goes in for the flash to finish off Ciela, and that revive is next. With only Kralix to remain to defend the base, things look really bad.
And that's the thing about the defensive itemizations. If those were offensive itemizations, that would be clearer. But of course, with the Zhonya's Hourglass that enables Exocen to really dive into the backline. What happened there is actually the two ADCs getting all their free hits. But of course, Zensho, a Caitlyn, getting the free hit compared to an Ashe. It's going to be more rewarding on Zensho. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you know, with still their bottom lane outer turret available with only 2 turrets denied to hit to them, MSK takes their victory against Rigel.
Congratulations to MSK for securing their victory over Rigel.
Yes, man.
We saw how the itemization was at work. Ciela was in the right position, but from the composition of MSK itself, he had a hard time trying to free it. His position was good, but there were just too many cap closers.
Yes, of course, mentioning that as well, for the most part, the only one that he can really hit was Nautilus. Of course, there's that Echo, but the problem about the Echo is still it has Zhonya's Hourglass, it even has the ultimate available, and not to mention that the one in the back line is Zensho, who with an enchanter, you know, the Lulu. So between the two trades, with these two ADCs free hitting, you know, for the most part, what our viewers can learn from here is you should try to assess on a 5v5 stack with two ADCs free hitting, who will be able to melt the front line of you know, for each team's composition. And clearly on this one, Zensho was able to melt first the front line here against Rigel. What a nice game it is for MSK, of course.
So with that said, we'll be having a 50-minute break after the highlights. So stay tuned for that, and we'll be back after the highlights.
Of course, we've been your shotcasters for this game. I am Shinbo with one, for an eye, and with me is Vulcan. That is just Game 2 here at the Garena Premier League Spring 2017, and we'll be right back for Game 3.
There's CYH, extra Chrono shifts away. Will he survive? Really slow. In kill range, flashes out with the time rewinder, securing the kill in front of the top lane. Kaigo making his way in, but there is the disruption for Revive.
I just want to compliment
Exo there. Plus the parallel convergence, Chrono shifts away. Arcane comes down, and now members of MSK going for a re-engage with Hamas leading the charge, going onto Ciela. He flashed on the walls. Game with Hamas. He secured the kill, but Exo is finishing up with the passive. And now Kralix is left all alone. That would be a kill secured for the realm of taken out. Flash in by Pishi. That would be a kill for Revive. So this will open up a Baron for Rigel. Helper coming in
for the
Exo shows himself. Micro for a Baron still. He focuses onto the members of the RG, and now this is the Baron in the hands of MSK. The Pirates turn around. There is another kill. Chrono shifts away to reposition. Kralix is down. There is the double kill, a triple kill, and a Revive left alone. That would be a Quadra plus an ace and a Baron.
Ladies and gentlemen, here we're mentioning
baseline gets draw. Oh, there's the Zonius. Here comes CYH, but he has no mana, no damage at all.
Oh my god.
Away. Hamas catching the Shadow Crystal Arrow, and look at Ciela's position. Free to hit as he pleases, but there is the parallel convergence. He will be taken down, and there is Ciela.
Zensho, of course.
Not touched. He's doing a lot of damage, and Zensho trying to pick up Ciela. Kaigen puts into the flash to finish off Ciela, and that would revive his next. With only Kralix remains to defend the base, things is really bad.
And that's the thing about the defensive itemization. If those were offensive itemizations, that would be clear. But of course, with the Zhonya's Hourglass that enables Exocen to really dive into the backline. What happened there is actually the two ADCs getting all their free hits. But of course, Zensho, a Caitlyn, getting the free hit compared to an Ashe. It's going to be more rewarding on Zensho. And just like that, ladies and gentlemen, you know, with still their bottom lane outer turret available with only 2 turrets denied to them, MSK takes their victory against Rigel.
Congratulations to MSK.